If you watch our YouTube channel or even our video podcast, this is typically the shot that you're gonna see what's behind me and then some of the equipment that we use for the production on the table. But there is a lot more behind the scenes that you actually cannot see. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you a tour of this home office slash YouTube studio thing I got going on here. So you can see everything that we use and the kind of the production workflow that I have, and hopefully give you some ideas for your home office studio or podcast setup. So stay tuned. All right, so this is again just a spare room in our house. My wife had me put up this recording sign so she knows when not to walk in. So it's just an LED one, not a good video light, but still nice to have out here. I do have it running down here to a switch that I can turn on and off. And then the power cord is actually running underneath the door into an outlet on the other side. So we're recording, light goes on. So we'll walk in here. So this is what we have set up as usually the backdrop in the video. And then this, if I flip around here, is the actual studio part where we record. Kind of a weird way to set up an office. So if you're not used to somebody doing a YouTube video and they walk into a room like this, they're gonna be like, what the hell is going on here? So if I can zoom out a little bit more there, kind of get a better picture. So that's where all the magic happens. I guess we'll start with the desk. It's a Husky workbench. I love this thing. It's nice and long and wide, so I can fit 4 people around there for our podcast. It's on wheels, so I can move it around, and I'll show you here in a second why that's good. So that's become the official desk now. But up here we have 2 microphones that are always on a boom arm, and then if I have other guests, I'll either do another boom arm on the 4th guest over here, but whoever's in the middle here does get a tabletop stand, so that works out. But these usually stay on the desk, and then if I want them out of the shot, I'll just swing them over so they're out. And if I don't want a microphone in the shot at all, I got this guy right here, the Rode NTG4 shotgun mic that will go over here. But this is the desktop that everything sits on. If I can get it back going on, everything happens here. This is where we record everything generally. Yeah, so with the desk, this is pretty much what you're gonna see on it. The Rodecaster Pro 2 is where I have all the audio go through the interface, and then that all actually goes into Ecamm Live along with the cameras. So if you don't know anything about Ecamm Live and you have a Mac, definitely something I recommend checking out. There's a link below in the description for a free trial. Definitely awesome. Obviously you can see here, have a preview window for the Sony camera over there. So always monitor what's going on, and then you can control your scenes, camera over here, and then your audio's up here. And then there's another one for switching cameras and a bunch of different stuff. That's a whole nother video. So it is kind of nice having this monitor here. It's off camera, so you never see that generally unless I have a B camera going on over there. So I control everything. Typically I sit here, control everything from the Rode. The Stream Deck is actually hooked up to the computer, and it actually controls everything. So if I want to change to the next scene, I just hit that and it would go to like a screen share, and then I can control switching between cameras and everything like that. So that's kind of what controls everything. I can edit the podcast or even YouTube videos straight from here. And then I have less editing to do once I get to Final Cut Pro. But the main camera that you see here, usually sitting directly in front of us, that is the Sony ZV-E10. And I'll show you how I have that hooked up. But that'll be the main camera you see us using and looking at. And then typically over here, I will have another B camera, which will be this iPhone. And then there's another stand over there for another camera that is another iPhone as well. So starting up here at the lights, you'll see there's a ceiling fan, but that is terrible lighting for video, so we don't even use that. I have 2 newer LED boxes, barn door boxes, whatever you want to call them. They're 480 LED light bulbs in them, but I have these soft boxes on them, and it makes it so much softer and easier to use. I have this one here as an overhead, kind of acting as a fill and hair light. And then this is our main key light right here. And both of these are mounted to C-stands, you'll see. And then coming over here, if we look at the back of it, you'll see it is that barn door one with just this soft box kind of sitting on top of it to help diffuse that light even more. So I can control it from back here, or I also have a remote that I have. So this remote will actually control these lights and turn them. This one turns them on and off. And then I have another one that will adjust the temperature and stuff like that. So mounted to newer C stands. These are awesome. We got these on sale. They do take up a lot of floor space, but they are awesome for mounting lights and other things too. You can see I have this camera stand mounted directly to this C stand, and then the shotgun microphone right here. So if I don't want to have a microphone in the shot, I switch over to the shotgun mic and I just have it attached to the C stand using part of a microphone stand, and that works out great. It's always out of the shot and I can always lift it up further if I need to. So that is still, I have the wire going down across the floor into the Rodecaster Pro on the 4th channel. So coming back here some more, again, this is where a B camera will be. So I just connect the phone to this USB and have it running into a dongle over there, which then it'll connect to Ecamm Live. So this camera will generally be on me and whoever's sitting next to me, and then that one will be facing whoever is on this side of the table. So that way when we're looking at each other, it looks a little bit better. On this stand, I also have an iPad mount. So that way I can hook this up as well or use it wirelessly as like a third desktop. So if I want to see, if whoever's sitting over here needs to see something, maybe notes or a preview of that screen, if they're talking, they can see that over here. But moving over here to the Sony ZV-E10, see, I always have the screen flipped out so I can see it, but I can never see if we're, you know, in focus or anything. So that's why it's nice having Ecamm. So I do have this Deity D4 mini shotgun mic. I typically don't use that. If I need to take the camera somewhere for a short shot, I might use that, but I just keep that mounted even though we don't use it. It's plugged in just in case. But I do have an HDMI cord going from the Sony down into a Camlink 4K, so that way I can get 4K footage into a dongle that is then going into my MacBook Air. So what sucks about the MacBook Airs is there's only 2 C ports, so I have to have this USB dongle, so I plug in the 2 other cameras into this guy, and then this one that is actually attached to the desk using these command strips here actually has the monitor, the Rode, the Stream Deck, and is actually powering the laptop. So the cool thing about this desk is I actually mounted a power strip under there to keep everything up off the ground to make it easier to move around, and then I have a laptop kind of holder there to get that out of the way if I don't want the laptop in the shot on the desk. And then this is the back of the Rodecaster, all the mics going into there, got the headphone jacks and everything, and then this is the monitor stand I have, and then this is if I want it out of the camera frame. If I want to have it for like editing or something, I'll just swing it over right here and I'll sit here and edit. Makes it super nice. But since we use the Sony ZV-E10 a lot and I just stream, instead of having a battery, I just have this kind of fake battery that actually just plugs in, so that way I have constant power and don't have to worry about a battery. I have a memory card in there, but I never hit record on this. It's a good thing about Ecamm Live is I just keep it on and it's always streaming, and I just hit record on Ecamm Live. So I never actually record into the SD card on this camera. I just have it going through a stream. So if we'll spin around here, this is the view of the rest of the room, kind of standing from the camera. So you have your main backdrop over here, and then you get a little bit of this area over here, and then we'll kind of go over here. I do have a Mosin Nagant crate that I've refinished. There is actually Mosins in there that I've collected over the years, and some other stuff I have kind of displayed in there, so that's pretty cool. I was gonna turn it into a glass tabletop, but then doing that was a pain in the butt, so I just have it the regular lid and it just holds the TV. But I got some stuff with that coming in the future that's gonna change, and then a spare chair I just moved over here, but that's like what somebody else will sit in if we have multiple people on the podcast. And then for the red light that we have in the background, I just have this GLW 30 watt RGB light. just on a light stand. I just have it shining on this wall to kind of give those contrasting colors. Recliner, if you want to sit down and relax. And yes, I am a Game of Thrones nerd. So you see I got a Game of Thrones theme going. My wife did give me permission to have Daenerys Targaryen up here, so she does know these are up here and approve. Black wall I recently painted. That's something coming here in the future. I have a thing with tactical walls. We're going to turn that into a different YouTube setup. So what you're seeing now in the background will primarily be for my other channel, Shotgun Studio, and then I'll have all the guns and stuff mounted over here. So I'm going to move this desk over here, move a couple lights, and have a new cool backdrop for the Boomstick channel here. And then when I want to do our other channel, Shotgun Studio, I'll just swing the desk back around here, which is easy to do since there's really no cords other than what's going into the Rodecaster, but just unplug those. Super easy to move. And if you didn't know, on these boom arms, these are just ones I got off Amazon. I forget the name. I have a link in the description to everything below. But got to have a Shure SM7B if you run a podcast. Love this mic, but I do love every other mic. This is an extra pair of headphones, Audio-Technica. They're okay, but over here I have the Rode NT100s. These things are awesome. They're a little pricey, but I mean the sound is so clear out of them, and they're pretty comfortable, and you get an extra long cord, and you can come in different colors. So I definitely recommend, if you do a lot of podcasting or even video editing, testing these out because they are awesome. And then my new favorite microphone, which is the Lewitt LCT 240 Pro condenser mic. Love this thing. So you typically see that one and this one on the podcast, and then a couple other ones I'll show you as well. But for the backdrop, again, this is my day job desk that I use over here. So, but it's just there because I can't really move it for the YouTube channel. So it's there kind of in the background. We try a different whiskey of the week. So you will see a bunch of different whiskey throughout here. This actually used to be our podcast table, but it ended up being way too small. So that's when I decided to get this one and then just use this for my main job. Another LED light up here that provides the blue light. It's just on like this arm connected to this stand. Got off of Amazon. And then back behind these shelves are Govee strip lights. They're nice because they're app controlled. So those are pretty nice and just kind of lights up these bottles that are on here. And then got another one above there. This lamp is just for background effect. The whiskey globe serves a couple purposes, obviously for storing whiskey. And I like popping the top and putting this little light on here just to make it pop a little bit in the background. But this is where we keep our glasses for trying all the different whiskeys. So storage and all that stuff. And then another shelf of not only just whiskey, but microphones. So up here I have this lamp just to add some extra light with a Philips Hue bulb, I believe. I have it matching the color in this light, so that way it all kind of matches. And then more of the Govee lights there. Bunch of different whiskey that we need to try or have tried. If you're asking, the most expensive whiskey on this shelf is this one right here, the Jack Daniel's Sinatra Select. Super hard to find. I actually found it on our Nashville trip where we did a remote podcast there. So that is for episode 100 when we make it there. And down here on the microphone shelf, Neat Worker Bee, the original. This thing's awesome. Blue Blackout Spark SL. Don't really use that one. I did do a video on it on Shotgun Studio. It's all right, but doesn't really fit what I need it for. So who knows if that one will come back on. And then the classic, the Shure Super 55. Great microphone, looks good, sounds good, but a little awkward to mount unless you on the boom arms, but it is possible. I do bring it on every now and then, but it does look really good on the shelf. Rode pod mic with the foam filter on there just to help with those plosives. This takes away from the aesthetics of the microphone, but I think it makes it sound better. And then we have the Blue Yeti X. Don't use that for the podcast or YouTube channel, but I do use it for work. And then just some more whiskeys down here. And then that's pretty much it for the actual studio. But in here, I do have a closet that stores all the extras. So I do have a whiteboard that we keep some ideas on. Got an extra light stand, the dust cover to the Rodecaster, and then on the shelf, this is where I keep extra microphones. So I got the Samson Q2U, another Rode Pod mic, the Fifine microphone. There's a Shure microphone down there somewhere. Keep extra cables, pop filters, stuff like that in there. Got the Deity Lav mic, which they actually don't make this anymore. And then this one is where I have all the attachments for the microphones, the boom arms. I keep the headphones in here, stuff like that. I am using the Deity, what is this? The Deity Pocket Wireless right now. So that's where this is from. And then my GoPro set up here, use that for the moto vlogs. SD cards are all in there. They fill up super fast in 4K. And gun stuff, because obviously I'm in the gun channel. Have a couple different longer boom arms. Those are a little too long, so I don't use those very often. And then just some extra lighting grids for the soft boxes, camera bag. And then up here I do have a couple more microphones that we use. So like I said, if we have other people on the podcast, I'll set this one on the tabletop. Usually this one stays mounted to it, the Shure SM7X. Really like that microphone. It's pretty similar to the SM7B, especially since I put the SM7B pop filter on there. Got a gimbal, which is kind of a pain in the ass to use, so I don't use it too often. Just some other lights and stuff up there. Down here is where I store extra cables. This is actually what the Neat Worker Bee came in. So I definitely love the fact that that was over packaged and you can actually use that to store stuff. So definitely nice. Bags for the light boxes, and then some microphones I got to do a review on. And for safety, we have the Mossberg 590 up there. You know, you just never know. But that's pretty much it. Just a simple spare room that I had to turn into an office for my day job that I've also now turned into a YouTube studio, podcast studio. Definitely looks weird if you're coming in not ever knowing anything about setting up a YouTube studio, because that's not a practical spot to put the desk, but it is, for me, the best way to get that background the way I want it here. So that's how it is now. Like I said, I'm going to change it to where we're over there. Going to see how that goes, but this has been the best way I found to set it up to get the look I've wanted right now. So definitely nice having a desk on wheels. They do make Vari-Poles I'm going to think about getting, especially if I move over here, so that way to get some more of these C-stands like off the ground, I can mount the lights. They're just poles that are tension held to the ceiling and the floor. See if that works. That way it's a little easier to walk around in here, because when there are 3 or 4 of us on the podcast, it gets a little cramped, especially with the cables going from all 3 cameras to the desk, trying to set that up, and just 4 chairs. Gets a little crowded, but solo YouTube videos or podcasts, or even like if it's just me and Chris doing it, definitely a little bit easier to move around at that point. But this is basically the view that you see. So behind the scenes of the Boomstick Tactical and Shotgun Studio setup. So we're gonna sit back down and record the outro, but this is what it looks like when I'm actually sitting here staring at that. When I'm actually talking to you guys, this is what I'm looking at, and which makes it a little bit awkward. It takes some getting used to talking to you guys just staring at that, but this is how I monitor everything over here. So you'll see how it all comes together in the actual video. So pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and record this outro right here. So I'm really hoping it recorded the audio this time, because the first time around I did that, it was actually just recording straight from this microphone because I forgot to switch it over in Ecamm. So it was a whole mess. So that was take 2 of the studio tour. So if you guys found this video helpful, or if you're looking for ideas on how to set up your own home YouTube studio or podcast studio, hopefully this video gave you some ideas on some equipment you can use, how to set up a room. I would definitely focus on lighting, because that is going to help no matter what camera you use, give you a really good picture. Lighting is definitely key. From there, I would focus on audio next, because I would rather watch a bad video with good audio than a good video with bad audio. or whatever. Definitely focus on lighting and audio first. And then because these cameras nowadays shoot 4K, 30 frames a second, which I usually do, iPhones work just great, or whatever phone that you have. Then upgrade eventually once the budget allows to a Sony camera like this, or whatever brand you want to use, but just a video dedicated camera. But definitely focus on lighting, mics, and then the acoustics of your room will also affect it. Again, this is a spare bedroom, so we do have carpeting in here and then stuff on the walls and just everything else in here. So it kind of helps dampen it, reduces all the echo and stuff like that. But if you have hardwood floors or maybe tile, maybe think about getting a big area rug and put it under where you're recording and where your microphone's going to be. So that way it reduces any echo in that room and will help with your audio. This has definitely been a work in progress. If you watch our first podcast, it was a completely different setup. We didn't have 75% of this stuff. So it's definitely progressed over the last year and a half, learning and doing the research. So it's not like we just bought all of this at once and had it set up and got this, decent looking picture here. It's definitely been a work in progress with trying different angles in the room to see what gave us the best backdrop, and then testing out different equipment. I did a lot of research on the best stuff. I didn't get the most expensive stuff, kind of look around, see what budget options are out there, because there can be some really expensive stuff like the Shure SM7B, $400 brand new, but I was able to find it used for half that cost. So if you wanted, maybe check the used market, you could find some good deals there. Black Friday is really a good time to buy some of this stuff that also goes on sale. But I digress. I could talk about this equipment all day long. So if you are interested in learning more about some of this stuff that we use, check out my Shotgun Studio channel that I'll post up here. That's where I kind of go over, do microphone reviews, how to do editing and stuff like that. So check out that channel, and then stay tuned on this channel and the podcast for that different tactical wall setup that we're going to be coming up with here, hopefully within the next couple of weeks or so. Again, if you're interested in any of this stuff that we use, check the links in the description below. I'll have everything kind of broken down into categories. But if you guys found this video helpful, smash that like and subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching.